Thomas, the hidden sayings that the Savior spoke to Judas Thomas, which I, Matthias, in turn recorded. I was walking, listening to them speak with each other. Jesus talks to his brother Thomas. The Savior said, "Brother Thomas, while you are still in the world, listen to me, and I shall reveal to you what you have thought about in your heart. Now, since it is said that you are my twin and my true friend, examine yourself and understand who you are, how you exist, and how you will come to be. Since you are to be called my brother, it is not fitting for you to be ignorant of yourself. And I know that you have understood, for already you have understood that I am the knowledge of truth. So while you are walking with me, though you are ignorant already, you have obtained knowledge, and you will be called one who knows himself. For someone who has not known self has known nothing, but someone who has known self already has acquired knowledge about the depths of the universe. So then, my brother Thomas, you have seen what is hidden from people, what they stumble against in their ignorance, the hidden and the visible." Thomas said to the Master, "For this reason I beg you to tell me what I ask before your accession. When I hear from you about the hidden, I can speak of it, and clearly it is hard to bring truth to people." The Savior answered and said, "If what is visible to you is obscure to you, how can you comprehend what is invisible? If deeds of truth visible in the world are hard for you to carry out, how will you do invisible things of exalted greatness and fullness? How can you be called workers? You are beginners, and have not attained the greatness of perfection." Thomas answered and said to the Savior, "Tell us about these things that you say are not visible, but are hidden from us." The Savior said, "All bodies have come to being in the same irrational way that animals are produced, and so they are visible, as creatures lusting after creatures. Those that are above, however, do not exist like those that are visible. Rather, they live for their own root, and it is their crops that nourish them. The visible bodies feed on creatures that are like them, and so the bodies are subject to change. Now, whatever is subject to change will perish and be lost, and henceforth has no hope of life, because this body is an animal body. Just as animal bodies perish, so will these figures perish. Is it not from copulation like that of the animals? If it too is from copulation, how will it give birth to anything different from them? So then, you are children until you become perfect." Thomas answered, "So I say to you, Master, those who speak about what is invisible and difficult to explain are like people who shoot their arrows at a target during the night. Of course they shoot their arrows as any people do, since they are shooting at a target, but it is not visible. When light comes, however, and banishes darkness, then the accomplishment of each person will be clear. And you are light, bring enlightenment, Master." Jesus said, "Light is in light." Thomas spoke and said, "Master, why does the visible light shining for people rise and set?" The Savior said, "O blessed Thomas, surely the visible light has shone for you, not to keep you here, but so you can leave. And when all the chosen ones lay down their animal nature, then this light will withdraw up to its being, and its being will welcome it to itself, because the light is a good helper. wisdom and foolishness. Then the Savior continued and said, O unsearchable love of light, O bitterness of the fire, you blaze in the bodies of people and the marrow of the bones, blazing in them night and day, burning their limbs and making their minds drunk and their souls deranged. You dominate males and females day and night. You move and arouse them secretly and visibly. When males are aroused, they are attracted to the females, and the females to the males. So it is said that everyone who seeks truth from the true wisdom will fashion wings to fly, fleeing from the passion that burns human spirits, and one will fashion wings to flee from every visible spirit. Thomas answered, saying, Master, that is precisely what I ask you. I understand what you say is beneficial to us. Again the Savior answered and said, This is why we must speak to you, because this teaching is for those who are perfect. If you wish to become perfect, keep these sayings. If not, the name of you is ignorant, since intelligent people cannot associate with a fool. The intelligent person is perfect in all wisdom. To the fool, however, good and evil are one and the same. The wise person will be nourished by truth, and will be like a tree growing by the stream of water. Some people have wings, but rush toward visible things that are far from truth. The fire that guides them gives them an illusion of truth, and it will shine on them with a perishable beauty, and will imprison them in dark delight and capture them in sweet-smelling pleasure. And it will blind them with insatiable desire, inflame their souls, and be like a stake jammed into their heart that can never be removed. It leads them according to its own wish, like the bit in the mouth. It has bound them with the chains and tied all their limbs with their bitterness of the bondage of desire for those visible things that perish and change and fluctuate impulsively. They have always been drawn downward. When they are slain, they are drawn to all the animals of corruption. Thomas answered and said, It is clear and has been said that many are those who do not know so. The Savior answered and said, Blessings on the wise person who has sought truth, and when it has been found, has rested upon it forever, and has not been afraid of those who wish to trouble him. Our own and the others. Thomas answered and said, Master, it is good for us to rest among our own. The Savior said, Yes, it is useful, and it is good for you, since the things visible among people will pass away. For the vessel of their flesh will pass away, and when it disintegrates, it will remain invisible things among things that can be seen. The visible fire hurts them because of the love of faith they once had. They will be gathered back to the visible realm. Moreover, among the invisible, those who can see will perish without the first love. And in their concern for this life and the burning of the fire, there is only a little time before what is visible will pass away. Then the shapeless phantoms will come and stay forever in tombs on corpses, in pain and destruction of soul. Thomas answered and said, What can we say in the face of these things? What shall we say to the blind? What teaching shall we give them miserable mortals who say, We have come to do good and not to curse? And will say furthermore, if we were not born in the flesh, we would not know iniquity. The Savior said, To tell the truth, To not think of these as human beings, but as animals. As animals devour each other, so also people like this devour each other. They are deprived of the kingdom. They love the delights of fire, and are slaves of death, and rush the deeds of corruption. They fulfill their parents' desire. They will be cast down into the abyss and be afflicted by the compulsion of the bitterness of their evil nature. They will be whipped to drive them down to a place they do not know, and they will leave their limbs behind with fortitude, but with despair. Not with fortitude, but with despair. And they rejoice in the fire. They love madness and derangement, because they are fools. They rush after this derangement, not realizing their madness, but thinking they are wise. They ... their body, ... their hearts, turning to themselves, and their thoughts being on their affairs. But fire will consume them. Thomas answered and said, Master, what can one cast down to them do? I am very concerned about them, for many oppose them. The Savior answered and said, How does it look to you? Judas, who was called Thomas, said, Master, you should speak, and I should listen. The Savior answered, Listen to what I tell you, and believe the truth. What sows and what is sown will pass away in fire and water, and will be hidden in the tombs of darkness, and after a long time the fruit of evil trees will appear and be punished and slain in the mouths of animals and people through the agency of the rains, the winds, the air, the light shining above. Thomas answered, You have certainly convinced us, Master. We perceive in our hearts it is clearly so, and your word is not meager, but these sayings that you tell us are laughable and ridiculous to the world, since they are not understood. How can we go forth and preach them when we are not respected in the world? Jesus preaches about judgment. The Savior answered and said, I tell you the truth, whoever listens to your word and turns away or sneers at it or smirks at these things, that person will be handed over to the ruler who is on high, who rules as king over all the powers, and the ruler will make him turn away and cast him down from on high into the abyss, and he will be imprisoned in a cramped, dark place. So he cannot turn or move because of the great depths of Tartarus and the burdensome bitterness of Hades. Whoever relies on what is brought to him will not be forgiven his madness, but will be judged. Whoever has persecuted you will be handed over to the angel Tartarus, who has flaming fire that pursues them, and fiery whips that spew forth sparks into the face of one who is pursued. If he flies to the west, he finds fire. If he turns to south, he finds it there as well. If he turns north, the threat of erupting fire meets him again, nor can he find the way of the east to flee there and be saved, for he did not find it while embodied, so as to find it on the day of judgment.